The 2025 NFL Draft is almost here, and it's time to take your pick with a pick six. I'm going to give you the 6 guys that the Bengals should target 17th overall. If Duke Tobin called me right now and said, hey, James, which guy should I target? Well, I'm going to give you the 6 right now on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into CBT. I'm James Rapien of BengalsTalk.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, join the 54,000 plus Bengals fans that have already subscribed to this channel, and do me a favor. Make sure that you check us out on audio. Make sure that you check us out on your favorite podcasting platform, including Apple, including Spotify, including Amazon. We just started the Cincinnati Bengals Talk audio feed. There's going to be plenty of audio-only content throughout draft season and during the draft. We're talking about conference calls from the Bengals' first round pick after he's drafted, second round pick, third round pick, fourth round pick. We're going to put all those in the audio feed. And you want to stay informed. You want to get the latest news. You want to get the latest on the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, this is another way to do that and take us with you on the go. So please support us on audio by following wherever you get your podcasts. Today's video brought to you by BetUS TV. Let's dive into the 6. This is a pick 6 edition, baby, of Cincinnati Bengals Talk. The 6 guys that I would target with the 17th overall pick. And let's be honest here. They're not all trench guys. You know me. They're not all trench guys. If Duke Tobin called me right now, I wouldn't say trenches only. I wouldn't say offensive line or bust. I wouldn't say, man, you better take defensive line. Of course I wouldn't say that. You know why? Because it's the NFL draft. And my motto is simple. Draft players, not positions. And these are the 6 players that I would target. 3 trench guys, starting with Kelvin Banks Jr. You're talking about a 21-year-old left tackle at Texas that should come in, will come in, and give the Bengals a high-end guard. And it may take him a little time to adjust to life in the NFL. Fine. Going to start for you right away. Projects as an immediate starter. There are a lot of evaluators that think he could play tackle anyway. Regardless, everyone thinks he can play guard at a high level in the NFL. Why wouldn't you be in on Kelvin Banks Jr.? Tested well, age-wise, experience-wise, check. Makes a lot of sense. Kelvin Banks Jr. is my first target. And I didn't do these in any specific order. I'm grouping them trench guys and then the other guys. And honestly, I got to be honest with you. I like the other guys a lot. We'll get to those coming up. But let's stick with the trenches because number 2 is Walter Nolen out of Ole Miss. The defensive tackle that should come in right away and be disruptive, should be able to create a little chaos, should be able to hold up against the run, and give your defensive line that extra boost that you need. Because I like the Bengals defensive line right now. They're just our defensive tackle room, rather. I like it. They're lacking that one extra body that can give them some juice. I like the TJ Slayton addition. No one's going to complain about bringing back BJ Hill, Chris Jenkins Jr., McKinley Jackson. You're banking on those guys to continue to progress. But Walter Nolen, he would give you that 3 technique, that interior pass rusher, that guy that I think can hold up against the run and do more for you than, honestly, these edge rushers that everyone loves, the Mike Greens, the James Pierces. I don't think the Bengals are as in on him as everyone thinks. Maybe I'm dead wrong on that. Maybe they are. Maybe they love James Pierce. I think they're going to look at him and say he's not going to hold up in the North. I think they're going to look at Mike Green and wonder about the off the field, but certainly look at the size and say, hey, is he going to hold up? Is he going to hold up the way we need him to against the run to be an every down player? And if you're talking about a rotational pass rusher, that's not worth the 17th overall pick. Walter Nolen certainly could be because I think he progresses into a long-term answer at defensive tackle. Kelvin Banks does because I think he's a short-term and long-term answer at guard. And so does Derek Harmon, my third piece here in third trench player. I think Derek Harmon is going to be able to come in and make an impact right away. And with Nolen and Harmon, I think those are the 2 trench players that project to be interior disruptors right away, create some chaos, create some havoc. I like Harmon a lot. And I've gone back and forth on who I like more, Harmon or Nolen or Harmon. And we have time for that. The draft is until next week. So I'll figure out this exact order. That's why I'm not ranking these guys, but I feel confident in giving you my big 6. The first 3, Kelvin Banks Jr., Walter Nolen, Derek Harmon at pick 17. Would be happy with any of those 3. And who knows, maybe the Bengals trade down and still add one of them. But I see 3 more names. I also have some honorable mentions. We'll get to those coming up next. Today's video is brought to you by BetUS TV. BetUS TV is the place you need to go for all of the analysis for sports, whether it's the NBA playoffs, the Masters this past weekend, maybe you're looking into, well, insert anything. You come to Cincinnati Bengals talk for Bengals news, for Bengals coverage, for Bengals analysis. BetUS TV has you covered for all of the other sports analysis that isn't Bengals related. So make sure you check them out today. They're going to give you the analysis, all the information, all the insight that you need, whether you're placing a bet. Maybe you're looking to do that. Obviously, a lot of our viewers are into sports wagering, whether it's that, whether it's analysis, whether it's information. BetUS TV is going to have you covered. Again, get to BetUS TV today. All right, let's get to the non-trench guys, and we'll start with the defense. We'll start with the defense because these are the two guys that I've officially gave the James Rapien stamp of approval on BengalsTalk.com. I hadn't done it here yet, but if you read BengalsTalk.com, you might know it's coming. Nick Emmanwori out of South Carolina. I'm in. And whether you look at Dane Brugler's board, and Emmanwori is the number one safety on his board, you're talking about a 6'3", 220-pound safety. And I'm just going to read you what, by the way, he's 17th overall on Dane's board. I'm going to read you what Dane wrote. Emmanwori has the size, speed, and mindset to play a variety of roles. Although he projects best near the line of scrimmage where he can blitz and be an eraser against the run and man up with tight ends and backs in coverage, he has the floor of an adequate starter and special teamer, but his ceiling is exciting and will put him high on NFL team safety stack. I think some people are going to be scared away by that. I'm not scared away by that. I think he's a playmaker in the middle of the Bengals defense. I think that this idea that they need to find the next Jesse Bates, stop chasing ghosts. They don't need the next Jesse Bates. They need someone that's going to come in and make plays and tackle and run and cover and do all of the things that a safety is supposed to do. Would it be nice to have Jesse Bates? Yes. But I'm not chasing ghosts. And so if Nick Emmanwori is there and the Bengals say he's the best player available for us, he fits us, they brought him in on a 30 visit, I have no problem with it because he's got size, he's got speed, he's going to tackle, he's going to make plays. And I love that they call him the Eraser. Nick the Eraser? Are you kidding me? That's an elite nickname as well. No, that's not why I like him. I like him for all the reasons I mentioned. You're talking about an elite athlete in the middle of a defense, a playmaker in the middle of a defense that needs more playmakers. Nick Emmanwori is high on my board, in on Nick Emmanwori at pick 17. I'm also in on Jihad Campbell, baby. We'll see how the medicals are with him. I keep saying that. People are like, what do you mean medicals? Coming off the shoulder, you just don't know. But like Emmanwori, I feel the same way about Campbell. If you can add someone that's going to come in and be a playmaker in the middle of your defense, will you sign me up? And I'm in on Jihad Campbell as that. A playmaker in the middle of the defense, someone who's coming off of labrum surgery in that shoulder. Who knows how he is health-wise? But what I do know is he's a playmaker. And if he is healthy, no one knows the medicals outside of him, his agent, and a few doctors. The Bengals medical team hopefully does, right? But if that's a check, if that's a thumbs up, if he gets the green flag, not the red flag, if it's the green flag, all systems go, Jihad Campbell is going to bolster your pass rush off the edge. He's going to be an elite blitzer for you. He's going to be a chaos creator. He's one of those guys where you just get him in and you let him make plays. You let him make plays. Obviously, they have a need at linebacker. This is much more about the player than it is the position. And the same thing goes with Nick Emmanwori, and the same thing goes with my next target. But yeah, right now, I would be in on Jihad Campbell with the 17th overall pick if he makes it that far. So we're 5 in. We have an offensive lineman and a guard in Kelvin Banks Jr., Walter Nolan and Derek Harmon, 2 defensive tackles. We have Nick Emmanwori, a safety. We have Jihad Campbell, a linebacker. Notice no edge. No edge. Is an edge coming? The answer is no, because Colston Loveland is number 6 for me. Colston Loveland would unlock the Bengals offense in a level of the Bengals offense that you have never seen, maybe at any point in team history. And the reason why he would do that is he can be an elite pass catcher while lining up in line, while lining up next to the right tackle, while lining up next to the offensive tackle. If he can do that, that's something that you saw little snippets of with Eric All last year. Well, Eric All's out for the year. Eric All's football future is in question. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, he's Mike Gesicki. He's not Mike Gesicki. He can block in line. He can run routes better than Mike Gesicki. Like long term, he will be awesome and be a huge part of your offense. Short term, he's going to make your offense unstoppable. And that's what I think is so interesting here is you still have Gesicki, you still have Andre Joseph. What scares opponents more? Like sometimes you just a Kelvin Banks Jr. or Colston Loveland. Well, Kelvin Banks Jr. probably going to be a really good guard. I get it. But you could argue that Colston Loveland is going to scare the hell out of opponents way more. Opposing defensive coordinators that have to deal with, oh man, if we take away Jamar and then we take away T and we have answers there, oh, well then Gesicki. But if we beat Gesicki or if Gesicki's not on the field, well then you got to worry about Chase Brown, or then you have to worry about, well then you had Colston Loveland who can line up in line, who doesn't kind of give the tell of, oh, well, it could be a running play here. Well, yeah, it could be, but he may just run block. I think that's what's so interesting. Some of these tight ends, if they can only do one of the two things, Drew Sample isn't going to be on the field for a bunch of passing plays this year. Some, but you want him blocking. And whether it's pass protection and helping there, or if it's straight blocking in the run game, it would be nice to have someone that's more dynamic, and Colston Loveland would do that. So that is the sixth player, Colston Loveland. Talked about him earlier this week. I extended the conversation there because I think that's the one everyone's going to push back on. It's going to expand the offense. It's going to make the offense what I think a lot of people view the offense as, but you want to be uncoverable. And sometimes it's worth it to do that. So I have 3 honorable mentions here. So I have the 6 guys, the 6-pack, the pick 6, and then 3 honorable mentions. And all 3 are guys that I think some of you might want at 17 right now. Malachi Starks is the first one. Hard to leave him off my list. If they pick Malachi Starks, I'll be excited. I'll think that that's a good pick. I'll be excited to interview Malachi Starks. I want to get to know him. I think he checks the character box. I think he checks the production box. I think he checks the playing in big games and at a big school box. All of these things. Didn't test well pre-draft. That's okay. I can get past that. I just don't have him above Loveland, Campbell, Eamon Worry, Derek Harmon, Walter Nolan, Kelvin Banks Jr. Same thing goes for Tyler Warren. I'm in on Tyler Warren. I think Tyler Warren would help a lot. I don't think he's as fluid as Colston Loveland. I don't think he would expand and transform the Bengals offense as much as Colston Loveland. Still in on him. Still would take him at 17. Hope that makes sense. And then the last one, and he's an honorable mention because if you talk to people around him that knew him or that know him or that are familiar with his game, Greg Zabel. I just think, man, super high-end athlete, checks the character box, is someone that I could certainly be in on in the first round and wrap my head around. I think he's more of a trade-down candidate, but he's an honorable mention as well because I do think that there should be at least one other offensive lineman that realistically is in there. Naturally, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't mention the Ashton Genties, the Will Campbells, guys like that because we know they're going to be gone. If they're not, and it goes that way, well, then of course things change. But for me, I tried to list the guys that I think have a real chance to be there. And I think Banks has a good shot. I think Loveland has a good shot. Harmon, Nolan, Campbell. I think of all of those, Banks and Campbell are the most likely to be gone. But a lot of those guys have a real shot to be there at pick 17. And so we'll continue to discuss this. We'll have big board conversations. We're going to have that with Joe Goodberry and company on Monday, April 21st. I'll sit in this chair. We will set the Bengals big board. Really excited to do that here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. We've done it the past 2 years, and we've gotten the big board right, where everybody that was gone ahead of Myles Murphy was off the board, and then the next best player on the board that was available was Myles Murphy. And guess who the Bengals picked? Myles Murphy. Last year, same thing. Everybody that was picked ahead of Amarius Mims, we had ahead of Amarius Mims on the Bengals board. And then, boom, they were gone. Amarius Mims was the best player available. And guess who they picked? Amarius Mims. We're going to set the Bengals draft board on Monday, April 21st. Today's video was brought to you by BetUS TV. For Andrew Fox-Miller, I'm James Rapien. It is draft season. Who do you want the Bengals to take? I know you like some of those names I mentioned. You have to. Who'd I miss? Something tells me you want an edge rusher or two in there. Until next time, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Cincinnati Bengals Talk.